I'm so sick of center-right fascists like NPR and Gavin Newsom leading into the fascism when at least Newsom purports to be someone who opposes Trump. We used to think that NPR, just based on wanting to at least somewhat tell the truth, would be opposing Trump because the truth is diametrically opposed to Trump. But NPR has been trying to couch their bets too much, like J.D. Vance. And when they had all these criticisms of Trump in the past, it turns out those are endorsements. Calling him Hitler, like J.D. Vance called Trump America's Hitler, wasn't a criticism, it was an endorsement. And sure enough, all that Trump could destroy a democracy, that wasn't a criticism. That was something they're hopefully crossing their fingers for. Over at NPR, they were reporting on a judge finally stopping Trump doing something. I forgot exactly what it was. It was deporting people or firing people, kidnapping people in some way. The judge finally stopped Trump doing it. And the reporter said, so this judge is, this order has gone through for this judge to do this or whatever. And then the host of NPR ended the report by saying, for now. Like, the judge's order has worked for now. But we can trust Trump to come back with some, Trump and Putin will come back with a, even after the judge completely orders against them and rules against them, Trump and Putin will come back with another way of appealing it, or let's move it to a different court, even though there's already been a sentencing, which is another thing that's recently happened. So Trump and Putin will defy the courts or resist the courts or whatever, but NPR has to focus on how the court's decisions are temporary. Trump will be here, but no, Trump is temporary as well. Elon Musk said 3.5 years. Compared to his 40 years he's hoping for, which I think Death should respond to that with challenge accepted. But so should the American people respond to 3.5 years, challenge accepted. We can make it shorter than that. Even Gavin Newsom, with all his flowery speech on the middle last night, on, what was this, June 12th, 2025? He was on the middle last night for a hour-long or half-hour-long interview, and he had some flowery speech. He had some words against Trump. And yet, at the same time, he was bragging about his working with immigration. Dude, the whole reason we're talking to you is because you're opposing Trump's fascist immigration policy. And he was only bragging about helping Trump remove actual criminals, or helping ICE remove actual criminals. But still, he was bragging about that. And bragging about the fact that he has command of 18,000 National Guard troops. Well, Trump mobilized 2,000 of your National Guard troops. So do the math. You could mobilize the other 16,000 or even 4,000 or whatever. You could mobilize 2,001 to escort those National Guard troops to where you want them to be, or back home, or whatever. But you can oppose Trump in a lot more oppositional ways than strong words. Strong words are great, but his last words, he really worked himself up to say, I only hope we have a president at the end of Trump's 3.5 years. Why do you even hope for Trump to have 3.5 more years? He's removable right now under the 25th Amendment for calling Biden a robot. He's unfit for office based on lots of things, but especially calling Biden a robot is enough of a litmus test to say, hey, if you can't remove Trump from office for calling Biden a robot, you should also be removed from office. If you think it's okay to think that Biden's a robot and that that's somebody who needs to be making decisions, even on, which garbage to pick up, you should not be out on the streets if you think Biden is a robot. So that's one, but he should also be impeached under all these different things. Impeached or removed for the 25th Amendment, or removed from the 25th Amendment and then impeach. And we only need Congress to do that. We can sway a few Republican congressmen to become American again and vote yes on impeachment, or vote yes to remove him for the 25th Amendment, especially if we let them know you're going to be removed with the 25th Amendment if you can't remove Trump with the 25th Amendment. But why Newsom, who's trying to poise himself to be the opponent to Trump, can't just oppose Trump now, including in saying he should not be allowed to have 3.5 years. And why Biden couldn't have opposed Trump before he became president. As I was saying, for years, we wouldn't play a football game where if one football team wins the football game, we cancel all football forever. We just wouldn't have that game. So why was Trump ever allowed on the ballot? Here in Colorado, Jenna Griswold, American hero, stood up for all Coloradans and all Americans by helping kick him off the ballot. But the Putin captured Supreme Court reversed that. So we have to praise the people who are actually going to take actual actions to stop him, such as Jenna Griswold, taking him off the ballot. We need to praise actual leaders such as AOC or Jasmine Crockett, who will beat him and defeat his mentality entirely, instead of sucking up to how much they can deport as well. We need a real leader, and we need some real media. Too much of the left stuff on YouTube and TikTok are just trying to